Hello there. I'm feeling much better now. Last time I checked in with you guys, I was a little, I don't know, weary, sleepy, exhausted. So I've had a couple of days to recover now. And I always kind of like to close these things out. I say always, like I've done this a million times. I've done it 3 times. This is my 3rd time. So I like to close these things out just kind of with some final thoughts. And in this case, I posed some questions to you guys also to see if there's anything else you guys wanted to know. So maybe I'll address some of those too. So yeah, one question was, how many stops did I make? And the answer is 36, not including Oceanside, not including Jacksonville Pier. So 36 stops, starting in my first stop being very brief in the Cahuila Casino in Anza, California. And my last stop before reaching Jacksonville Beach was Lake City, Florida. So yeah, so seems like a lot, but I'll tell you what, it goes fast. You're always like either looking forward to riding again or looking forward to stopping again. At least that's my experience. So some other questions I've been asked. I think one of the questions I've been asked the most is, what do I travel with? You notice here I've got cases and stuff. I actually decided to leave the bike exactly as it was when I returned, in her filth and all, so you can see this. So maybe that's a good one to get next. So let me show you guys what I travel with and why. All right, first, I just want you to see the condition. I did wash the bike before I left California, but you know, 2,400 miles will certainly take its toll. So she's held up pretty well, I think. Just a little filthy, that's all. So what do I travel with and why? Well, I'll start with the obvious. So I've got a Schubert C4 Pro helmet, and I like to keep a GoPro on the front. It's not always recording, but I keep it there because I want to be ready if I see something interesting. So and also there's times where I think about something I want to say, commentary or whatever. So I have a microphone inside the helmet that allows me to do that as well. So, and then of course a Cardo Pack Talk for mostly listening to music and navigation. So, and then I can also talk to Siri and ask her to do things for me because I want to keep my hands on the handlebars. Gloves are just simple, but the main thing here is I recommend for anybody doing anything like this is putting these little touchscreen things on, because even when they're touchscreen approved gloves like these are, those just don't last in my opinion, especially when you really put some miles on them. They just stop working. So I got these little touchscreen stick-ons which work miracles and are essential, because while I'm on the road going from stop to stop, I'm changing my mind, I'm seeing if I can make it. So I need to touch my phone, I need to do stuff. So you guys have noticed I wear this backpack a lot. The main reason I wear it is because it is basically a camelback. So going through the desert, riding from hours on end, not knowing when I'm going to be able to stop and eat somewhere or drink somewhere. So this is my survival water here. What I often did was just crack this bad boy open, like in a hotel or something, and just filled it up with ice, and then filled it up with water. So as much ice as I could fit in there, just to keep it as cold as possible. So that's that. So in here was my faithful traveling companion, Peanut, for most of the time. He did like to come out and take potty breaks and peanut breaks. So I also had this little backup battery for charging phone if I needed it, and it's also doubles up as a hand warmer. I didn't really use that much, thankfully, because I had heated gear this time. So, but comes in handy. And then up front here is just mostly my electronics gear as far as charging and stuff, and not for on the bike, but for if I stop somewhere, you know, after, basically when I'm staying in a house or hotel. So I didn't really use any of this during the ride, although my GoPro accessories are here. If I needed to change the battery or something, that was in there. So that pretty much does it for that. Right behind me, I have basically it's a camping pillow. For one, if I have to camp, thankfully I did not have to do that this time, although I did use it a couple times when I'm taking my little naps. But mostly it ends up serving as like a lower lumbar support, and it keeps me well positioned on the seat, which I think helps a lot with the fact that my butt barely hurt on the last 3 trips I've done. This last trip it did a bit, but I think it helps with that. It keeps me on the right part of the seat to make sure that I'm not killing myself. In this tail bag, I just kind of keep some things that I might need quick access to, like my puck, my helmet lock. That's pretty much it for that. And then inside of it is my thermal gear. So if I'm starting to get cold, I've got snacks in there. I had 2 pairs of glasses. I had a shaded pair and a clear pair for night. Those are in there as well. And my rain gear is in here down the bottom. I just use these little frog tog things. They are definitely not stylish, but they are compact and they do the job. So thankfully I did not have to use those on the trip back. So, and then of course I had peanuts, food. Gotta feed the puppy. So that pretty much does it for that. Snacks and gear, heated gear. Well, not heated gear, my thermal gear. In the left and right pockets, I have just towels. This is like if it rains, wiping off the seat, stuff like that. And then on the other side, same thing, towel, but its devoted purpose is basically keeping my helmet clean and sometimes the windshield. I would just use a little of this stuff, spray it on there, clean it off. And that is something I did almost every stop because you just get smacked with bugs, especially when you're riding through the night. Okay, so that's it for that tail bag. Probably the box I use the most on the road is this one. So my hat for style when I take my helmet off and have really messed up hair. But mostly my Tesla kits. So if you look in here, I've actually got 2 Tesla mobile kits. Now, I always get some flack for this, but I really think that these are the best mobile kits you could possibly get. And the reason why is because they've got a long cable. Pull this out here. All right, they've got a long cable and you can change out this little plug on the end with a bunch of different kinds of plugs. So this is a NEMA 1450, which is primarily what I used. And sometimes I use 2 of those. That's why I have 2 of them, because I can only get 32 amps out of each connector safely. Okay, so I have 2 of them. That one also has a 1450 on it. I use that a lot for dual plugging in RV parks. However, if I need it, I got my wall outlet. In fact, I can even dual charge on wall outlets if I need to, as long as they're on a separate circuit. Never had to do that, but that would have been getting 2.6 kilowatts would have been better than 1.3 if I got stranded somewhere. And then this is a NEMA 1430, which can come in handy for some dryers and stuff. So I did not have to use that one. I believe I got that one because of a trip we did to the Tail of the Dragon where the Airbnb had a dryer, and it would have been nice to plug into that. So I've got my 2 Tesla Tap Minis here. I use those for both the mobile kits, and I use them all the time for Tesla stations. So if you paid attention to the videos that I made, you'll notice that a lot of times when I plug into a Tesla station, they are not 12 kilowatts or more. They're 8 or 7 sometimes. And so I deal with that a lot of times by dual plugging on Tesla stations. So that's what those are for. What I did was I just put these little J-plug mounting brackets on there, bottom of the top box, and I can just pull them out. So quick access. And then this little doohickey in the middle is just my tire pump. So got to always check your pressure, make sure you're good. So that's that. Also in that case, I don't have it out right now because I was sitting in it, but I keep my click chair. So it folds up into about the size of a large water bottle. And man, that is probably one of the most useful things that I had on the trip. I use it all the time, almost every stop. It's one of the first things I get out. So in this case, this is mostly, I consider, my emergency case. I don't want to die out there. So what do I have in here? Tools right here. So I have all the tools I need here to pretty much take the fairing off the bike. And if I need to, repair the tire or change the belt. So spare belt and a bunch of tools. You see, like a full set of Torx bits. Very essential for working on a zero motorcycle. What else do I have in here? Sleeping bag and a tent. I did not have to use the tent on this trip. The sleeping bag comes in handy sometimes for my nap situation, depending on where I am and if I have any good place to kind of hang out and chill out. So those are very useful. So, but that is all is in there. And then over here, let's see. This is where my clothes are for the journey if I need to change. So I've got a spare set of motorcycle pants in here. This is my heated gear. So my heated gloves, they're the hot wired from Cycle Gear. And I also have a heated vest here. But yeah, the rest is just clothes. I've got a hoodie, jacket, socks, little fan, helps for sleeping sometimes. So, but that's pretty much it. Aside from that, the bike is stock with the exception of my dual plug system. So DJ Rapid Charge, absolutely essential for making this trip in the time that I did. Not possible otherwise. And then every stop pretty much, I like to recharge my GoPro and my Cardo. So I'd snap them off my helmet, basically set them up here, and then kind of leave this semi-open like that. I'm sure you guys noticed that in the videos. So this other little thing here is just a little prototype of something I'm working on. Basically to give you access to the Mbb console. So I didn't end up needing it for this trip, but I figured if I was having potentially thermal issues or something like that, I could log into the bike's computer and see, you know, the battery temperature and stuff like that. So didn't end up needing that. So there you have it. All right, so another common question. What was my charge rate like? What you know, how fast was I able to charge up along the trip? And, you know, how much did I charge up? How little? Like what percentage? What SOC? So the answer is basically, as long as I could get my full charge rate, which thankfully was probably about 75 to 80% of the time, dual plugged or whatever it needed to be, a high power Tesla station. As long as I could get that full charge rate, the answer is I could go from 0 to 80% in an hour. And I could almost set my watch to it. It was very close to 60 minutes. I did it often. I would log it, or I would roll in, and I took notes along the way, and I would record the time that I rolled in and basically guess when I was going to roll out based on, you know, the percentage I was charging to. So yeah, 80% was almost dead on for 60 minutes every time. 90% would only be an extra 10 minutes. So 70 minutes. And then 100% would take me probably about, let's see, I'd say 90, let's see. Yeah, maybe 85 minutes to 90 minutes, something like that. Okay, so, and I did not do that very much. So most of the time, my rationale was I tried to plot stops that were 70 to 80 miles away, usually. And I would probably basically charge, if I was going 70 miles, I would charge to 80%. Okay, if I was going 80 miles, I'd charge to 90%. There was a couple times when I went to 90 miles, I might charge to like 95% or a little bit over. So I found as long as I did that, I had an adequate cushion to push it if I needed to, or to take on some crosswinds if I needed to. That generally tended to work out. So for the lower hops, there was a couple like 50 or 60 mile hops. I'd kind of keep the same thing. I would try to charge maybe 10% over. You know, if it was 50 miles, I'd charge to 60%, for example. So that was pretty much my rationale for that, and how basically my charging strategy. Now there were, unfortunately, quite a few stops, I'd say 6 or 7 of them, where I was basically just stuck at like 7 kilowatts charging rate. So yeah, that just happens sometimes. Just, you can plan and you can stop as like have all this experience, but sometimes you're going to roll up to a plug where, you know, one's not working. Like when I was in Alamogordo, New Mexico, for example, or at that ice cream shop, or rolling into a hotel where it's a shared circuit and I can only get 8 kilowatts out of 1 or 2 or Tesla stations. Doesn't matter if it's 1 or 2. So unfortunately that just happens sometimes. Man, if I could have if I could just install an 18 or 12 kilowatt or 18 kilowatt charger every 70 miles between Oceanside, California and Jacksonville, I would freaking annihilate the time. But unfortunately that is not the case. So I hope that answers that question. And the last question, and an interesting one, and that is, what's your plans? What are you going to do next? What's your next big ride? And I guess the truth is, I don't know if I've figured that out yet. I think I've pretty much come to the conclusion that I'm not going to make another time trial run unless something substantial changes. Like, I definitely got burned on this trip by more 6 to 7 kilowatt stops than I would have liked. So much so that if I tried again and got luckier with those stops or tried to avoid them somehow, I think I could actually threaten that 76 number pretty easily. But it's just, it's not worth it. I think 79 is a hell of a run, and I'm very proud of it. So unless something substantially changes with the bike technology, charging that would basically increase the charging rate or give me some sort of other good reason to basically get a much better time. So I don't know if that's CCS or, faster AC charging or a combination of both, or a bike with, a bigger battery, longer range. I don't know. I don't know what that thing is. I can't predict it right now. But if something like that came up and I kind of saw an opportunity where I could add some value to whatever that thing was, like I did with this dual J system, something that made it unique for me, then I would do it. I'd take a crack at it. But I feel like I've proven what I set out to prove when I started to do this, and that is, with the right equipment and the right accessories, you can absolutely tour on this bike. I have seen some very cool stuff, and that's just by rushing across the country. What I'd prefer to do next time is just take some time and be like, I'm going to go up and hit this national park up there. I'm going to take my time getting there. I'm not going to deprive myself of sleep for 3 days. I'm going to go up there, maybe camp along the way, maybe stop at a hotel, whatever. Spend some time up there. Enjoy the ride. So maybe take some friends with me. Get some dual charging buddies or whatever. So, but that's kind of my thing now. I just want to enjoy it. That's why I did this in the first place. I wanted to charge faster so I could spend more time riding and enjoying that experience. So that's what's next for me riding wise, is just to enjoy it a little bit more. And absolutely, there are places that I went on all 3 of these rides. There's some that I would never go to again. But then there are some that it just absolutely blew me away, that I would love to go back to someday, take the family, and let them experience it too. So yeah, that's in the future for me. What else am I looking forward to working on? As you guys noticed when I was going through the bike gear there, I'm always wanting to tinker and create little what I think are useful gizmos that I think owners of these bikes will appreciate. So the dual charge system is an obvious one. Take full advantage of the charging capacity that Zero offers us, the 12 kilowatts. Awesome. Another one that I think is super useful is I'm working on that Mbb Console Interface. So the dash system of the Zero only gives you so much information, and it's useful, but sometimes you just want to know more. In the days when I was really getting a feel for the charging systems on the new 2022 bikes, I wanted to know how the battery thermal performance was doing, for example. So that type of information can only be seen in what's known as the Mbb Console. It's useful for that, and it's not something. It's basically open. It has been in every Zero bike, as far as I know, the Gen 2s and all that. It's open. It's just, in my opinion, it's been a little bit too technical for people to get to. You got to know what a serial port is. You got to know what TTL is versus RS-232, and I don't think anybody should have to deal with that. So basically, what I'm working on is a little embedded system that will be a dongle that will plug into the Mbb, the OBD2 diagnostics port. and allow you to access that interface through just a web page interface. It'll show up as an access point. You log in on your phone or your computer or whatever, and you can see that console. And the console's pretty cool. It's just, you can type help to see the commands. You can type charging to see, your chargers, what their voltage input is, what current they're outputting, the DC voltages, all that stuff. So it can really come in handy for troubleshooting a problem. If you think you might have a bad charger, all you got to do is log into this interface and take a direct look at it. You can see, in my case, all 2 chargers. You can see how much power they're outputting, how much they're drawing, and if you got a bad charger, it'll be pretty obvious because it won't be doing what you expect it to do. So you want to see how your battery's doing thermally, log in, just look it up. It'll show you the highest temp, it'll show you the lowest temp. So it's pretty cool. So just looking forward to making that a little useful gizmo. Yeah, I have other longer term ambitions for it as well, but I think just that alone is a really great way to start that off as a product. I think eventually it could be useful for potentially useful for dealers and things like that too. And yeah, basically improve all of our dealer experiences. So by making them have better tools. So anywho, so that's it. I'm just thinking about stuff like that. But for now, I just kind of want to get caught up on life and get back into the swing of things. So yeah, I got some personal things coming up that I'm looking forward to. Yeah, I'm sure I'll see you guys around. I'm always coming out to California, so it was awesome meeting you guys out there and seeing some of you again, those I've seen before. And yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting some of the East Coast guys again too. So I'll always be doing that. I'll always be wanting to get around there and do that. And yeah, again, I just the thing that's the coolest thing about doing this, and the thing that I never ever anticipated when I first started doing it, when I did it the first time last year, is just the overwhelming amount of support that the community kind of pushes out when I'm doing this. It's so cool, like to see, the YouTube comments pop up, to see the Facebook comments pop up, and people are like, go Scott, or you're crazy, or oh man, I went there once, Las Cruces, that's a cool place, great views. Like, that stuff is so cool for me to see, and man, it fires me up because it's hard. Doing this is very hard. Ask any of the other guys who have done it. I don't know if you can fully appreciate how difficult it is until you try it, and you see where you hurt and what your body behaves like when it's been on a motorcycle for 3 days straight, and how you behave when you're sleep deprived, and what happens to your body when you're that cold for that long, and all that stuff. It's really hard, and in the hardest moments, that's the part that always keeps me going and kept me going, was people are watching me, people are counting on me. They see my blue dot on the map in blue lane, and if I take a wrong turn, they're going to notice and they're going to say something about it. And it's just cool having that kind of like support and accountability, I guess. And it keeps me going and pushes me to do better. So yeah, thank you guys. I appreciate all the support. And obviously, if you have any questions, anything I missed or anything like that, just reach out, leave a comment. Send me an email, scott@emotodesign.com. I'd love to hear from you. So thank you guys, and until next time, see ya.